Everyone, welcome to another video in this series on creating an AI-ready backend with Azure Cosmos DB, NoSQL, Azure Functions, FastAPI, and the Python SDK. In the previous video, we took a look at data modeling with Pydantic and FastAPI. Today, we're going to take a look at how we can leverage connection pooling and dependency injection with FastAPI and the Python SDK, and a couple of best practices when it comes to getting the most out of performance with our API being deployed on Azure Functions. And in the next couple of videos, we'll be covering async operations, batch operations. So be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. The repository will be linked in the description alongside a couple of other resources that I think you will find useful. All right, so let's dive right in. Let's start by talking about what we are optimizing for. So every time we create a Cosmos client, it's going to create a connection pool. And you can think of a connection pool like a container or, I don't know, a garage that has all your connections, right? So what we are aiming for is to utilize connection pooling. So instead of having any operation against our database create a client, thus create a connection pool every single time, which roughly translates into these many steps here. Essentially, you have to go and create the connection, authenticate, then you can send your query, you receive a response, and then you close that connection. This is going to lead to more overhead and slower response times. Ideally, what we want to be able to accomplish is to leverage connection pooling, meaning that we just have one connection pool because we're creating just one client, and that will maintain a number of connections that are authenticated already. So when we go and call our operations against our database, we're just grabbing an existing connection versus doing all the steps here. And this leads to less overhead and quicker response, right? So what does this actually look like in practice? So if we go to our database file here, we're going to focus in on the functionality here called ensure client. And here we see we have a global client, which we are going ahead and assigning a Cosmos client to this here. Additionally, just as a side note, we have some client options here. And the only thing I've set is connection timeout. There are many other options that we can set. But because we are using the Azure Cosmos DB serverless offering, which is a great step to start out with if you don't have much of an idea of how much throughput you're going to need, as your application grows and as you figure that out more, you can switch to the other offerings and you'll have more options here. But I've just set connection timeout to 60, especially useful when we're using Azure Functions because of cold starts and things like that as well, right? But keep that in mind. I will make sure to link more information on the serverless offering and these client options and things like that in the description, so check this out. So yeah, we create this client with the endpoint, the credential, and those options that we've provided. So if we take a look at, for example, our product route here, these are all our endpoints, right? And we can see that our endpoints here are utilizing, through dependency injection, the get products container, which is this functionality here. Which what this is leveraging is back in that database file, we have this get container and we're saying we want our products container. So we'll scroll down to our get container here. And this is going to utilize that same ensure client and retrieve that global Cosmos client, right? And then utilize that to get our database in our container and return it back to our product route. Our product route now has access to that, calls our CRUD level here. We go to our, let's, for example, take a look at which one is this. Oh, create product. We see we're expecting a container proxy. And then that same container, which was passed on to us by our route, is what we're using to actually get the item or create the item, whatever it is that we're doing here. So the key part here is to understand we want one global client. So we want to take advantage of connection pooling, right? We can utilize FastAPI dependency injection to make sure we're making that resource available to our endpoints. And then, of course, also to our CRUD layer. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. We've covered data modeling. In this video, we covered connection pooling, creating our Cosmos client, and things of that nature. In the next couple of videos, we'll be covering async operations, batch operations. So be sure to tune into the next one. That's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next video.